So out of the 5 cars I have, today, believe it or not, we are actually going to be working on this thing. This is my daily driver, VZ Ute. And I don't know if this car has like a Outback or towing pack on it or something, but there's no way that is factory height. Regardless of that, we're going to remedy that today. I've got some SLs for the front and double SLs for the rear. Now, I got these really cheap. That's the only reason I got them. And I feel like the rear is going to be too low with double SLs. So we'll see how we go, but I'm going to put them in, and if it's too low, I'll just buy a pair of SLs. And before we do all that, because I only recently purchased this car, one thing I always do when I buy a car is pull seats out and clean the shit out of the inside of the car. As I've said before, interior is where you spend 99% of your time with your car. So you want that to be the best. Well, that's how I see it in my eyes. So we'll do that first and then we'll get on to the springs. So one of the really good things about taking the seats out to clean the inside of your car properly is you'll always find money. Yes. I wouldn't even buy a beer. But now this car looked very clean. But as you can see, there's all this shit you can't get to. Even all down in here, all behind, like look at this. So that's what I want to get out. All up here. Now I have actually vacuumed this car, but half this stuff you can't get out. You need like a coarse brush, so it loosens everything. Yeah, clean this light as well. So here we go. Oh God, that's going to be about it for vacuuming. Now I'll go over everything with watered down degreaser over all the trims. That'll probably be about it. And always make sure to do your Tuesday night YouTube post for tomorrow's video. Now I'm going to do this with a fresh, clean white sock, just so you can see how dirty the inside of this car is. It looks very clean, but trust me, it is not. There you go. That's just from wiping over the trims. It's gonna be a much nicer place to sit now. And there you go, clean as a whistle, and as you can see, dark now by the time I've put everything back together. Unfortunately, it won't show up really well before and after on camera, but big difference to me. Now, the only 2 things I don't like about this interior that I'm probably going to change is this. It had a CB radio here, so some holes in that trim, and this is split here. So I reckon I'll replace both of those items and I'm going to be pretty happy with the inside of this car. Interior is the most important. 100%. Now we can get on to lowering this thing so that I'm not embarrassed to drive it. Look, it drives good, but it's just not, I don't know. It needs to be lower, so we'll get on to that now. Now this should be pretty simple. 2 bolts, brake line, top bolts, sway bar link, and out it should come. I'm just hoping, or else I'm going to screw myself here, that these shocks that came with the springs are alright. So I'm going to keep these just in case. I have to swap them over, but hopefully not. Now if you're wondering why I'm not using an impact gun, as people mentioned last video, I do have one, but it broke. None of the batteries will charge, so I don't know if it's a problem with the batteries themselves or the charger, but both batteries don't work, and the gun is that old that I can't get replacement batteries. So hand tools it is. Why is everything weird sizes on these bloody things? 15, 24. Who the hell has this size stuff in their toolkit? 24. Now, little did I know you have to pull the caliper off, as this bottom shock bolt can't come out because it hits the caliper bolt. So why the hell do the bolts go that way? Why don't they go the other way and then you can pull the nut off? Alright, first one out. Always compare to make sure they're the same, which they are. I'm going to use the end links that are still on the car, as they look a lot newer than these ones. These ones are a bit shitty. Now of course, going back together, I gave it a good scrub, so it's all nice and clean. Now this can all go back together and move on to the other side. Now obviously by the time you guys see this video, this is done, but what the hell is the trick to getting these clips off to hold the brake line and the ABS sensor? What a pain in the ass. And before people say anything, yes, I need to change the wheels. I will do it soon in the future. Probably 18s or 19s, 20s too big. 17s, these are 17s, too small. So something 18, 19, maybe stock VZ SS wheels or something like that. Whatever pops up cheap, even VE, VF SS wheels. Ideally I'd love VE SS Thunders, so they're the V wheels but in the gunmetal grey colour. I reckon they look really good on these. But yeah, as I said, whatever pops up cheap, that's what's going on this car. That's better. I like it, I like it. Not ridiculous. It's actually pretty good, so I'm a bit worried about the back, because these are SSLs, the backs are going to be, sorry, the fronts are SLs, the backs are going to be SSLs, so time to turn this thing around and do the back. So now the rears. Now going by what I've read, and I did research because never done one of these before. I did have a VY SS Ute, but that came with springs already in it, so I never touched them. So apparently, just undo this bottom shock bolt, push the whole unit down, and the spring should pop out. And the new ones are like half the size, so they should just slip in very easy. Do the bolt back up, and that's it. Now this is super, super tight. It is undoing, but really tight, and I'm assuming it's because there's so much weight still on this assembly, pulling down on it. So what I might do is jack this whole thing up just to take some weight off it. Alright, so it turns out that wasn't the problem. This is just rusty as shit. So, as usual, nothing ever goes to plan. It's actually now 3 days after I started doing the springs. It got to that time in the night where I was sort of halfway through doing the rears, couldn't get them out, and I had to go out that night. Next day I was hungover, Monday work, and this is where we are now. Two options. These death traps, which I've been winding in for ages and it's making stuff all difference. So if I can't get them out with these, not ideal, but I'm just gonna cut them in there so that they collapse and then you can get them out. So we'll see what happens. All right, old spring's out. The spring compressors worked really well, as you can see. And for the last like 20 minutes, I've been sitting here thinking, how the hell do you get these in? As they were still too tall. Had my girlfriend jumping up and down on this with the shock off. Still couldn't get it in. So there's got to be some trick here. Turns out if you just take the handbrake off, the whole assembly drops and the spring slides in. Lesson learned, maybe research everything no matter how simple it seems, because there's always going to be a trick to doing something a lot easier when it's something you haven't done before. Really not the way to do it. Moment of truth number 2. Will it be too low? What? What the hell? That can't be right. Same height as before. Ah, there we go. Handbrake again. You know what? That's actually not bad. I'm assuming they'll settle a bit because the SSL's in the back and SL's in the front, and the front's lower. So I'm gonna have to take it for a drive and then we'll go look at it out in the daylight. And this is the finished product in the daylight. So I reckon the back is absolutely perfect now that it's settled. But I reckon the front is a bit too low. It's only just above the tyre, where this, they're probably even, but the car doesn't look even. I was expecting the back to be lower than the front, but it's actually the other way around. It's alright. Drives good. It's actually better in the back now. It was so stiff in the back, I'm assuming because of those like toe springs. Now it's a bit softer actually. Yeah, as I said, drives a bit better. So let me know what you think. And it actually makes these wheels look a little bit better. These are actually genuine Holden option wheels, so maybe I'll keep them. I don't know yet. Next week, possibly back into some van stuff. I can't make any promises. Might have an engine, who knows? We'll see next week. See you guys then.